Hi, this is Dan at the Mount Olivet Conference and Retreat Center. This week we're going to take a look at composting. Composting is putting in like vegetable peels or leaves or grass clippings and then turning it into, letting it decompose, and it'll turn into fertilizer. You see composting in the woods as you go through, and there's trees and branches that break down, and the same thing is happening with your composting at home. It's turning it into soil. So we have the FBI agents at work. We have fungi, bacteria, and insects. So all these microorganisms are working to turn our waste into compost. So come with us and we'll show you how we compost at the Retreat Center, and maybe this will give you some ideas for yourself at home as well.
Hi, my name is John LeBlanc. I'm the Culinary Director here at Mount Olivet Conference and Retreat Center. So in the kitchen, we typically will compost food that break down in the compost is biodegradable, such as corn husks. We got some orange peels, some onion peels. We got avocado skin, apple rind, and some eggshells. These are some of the things that we compost. We also use coffee grounds. Coffee filters are also biodegradable as well, so they break down in the compost. Tea bags. So here we take the compost items and we put them in a bucket or a pail, and then I will take this, and then where we store it in the kitchen, we store them in airtight containers. So once it sits for a little while, it kind of makes a nice aroma, a nice composting aroma that we don't want in the kitchen. So we put it in airtight containers to conceal the smell. Fill the buckets. After the buckets are full, then we'll have Dan take them out to the composting site.
Here we are at the outdoor compost site at the Retreat Center. We've made these bins here, which was actually a part of an Eagle Scout project. And we just have this wire mesh, basically a 2x4, supported by these steel posts. And it's like 7 feet by 7 feet by 7 feet. This is current year, so it's leftover leaves and weeds we've pulled from gardens, and stalks from the last year's perennial beds, and some food garbage from scraps from earlier on. And then as we go to the second bin, this bin was from last year. And it was actually about 6 feet high here in the fall before all the snow came for winter. So you can see how much it's settled down already. Over here is where we've shredded our compost that had been building up for several years. If you can rent a shredder, it makes it into a finer material. So you have this nice, luscious compost that basically will add air to your flower beds and vegetable beds. It's nice and crumbly. It holds moisture, and it improves the the structure of the health of the plants. It adds nutrients as well, and it's just really a great topping to have on your different flower beds and vegetable garden beds as well. So all that nice compost that we had at our compost site, that came from all the vegetable scraps in the kitchen, all of the gardens here. All of that is getting recycled, reduced, and reused. Now in the vegetable garden here, we put a topping and worked it in all of these 12 boxes of vegetable beds and these fruit trees that are here as well. And we also put the compost on our perennial beds. So it's a full circle of life at the retreat center. Here we are at the Cottage Compost site where I live. So in this bin here, you can often get these for about $100. It's probably the easiest way. When you're composting, you want something 3 by 3 by 3 approximately in size to have enough mass to actually compost. So you want, whether you buy a bin like this, they also make bins that you can rotate. You can make a 3 by 3 by 3 out of pallet jacks or wire fencing or whatever. There's a myriad of possibilities. But you need browns, which are leaves, straw, and maybe shredded paper. And you need greens, which could be grass clippings or vegetable scraps or your plant material or weeds from your gardens that as you clean them up. So you have to think in terms of the lasagna layering method. So just like in lasagna, you're layering your different food components. When you're composting, you're layering the browns with the greens. So at the base, you want to start out with 6 inches of brown. So whether you use leaves or straw, you want a base of browns, and then you add your layer of greens. Now I've taken leaves here from the fall, put them by the compost pile, and then when I open up and put in my greens, then I can just pick up some browns and spread them off, on the top as well. So there's different formulations for browns and greens that are out there, but basically you just need to get both involved because the browns will add air to your compost pile, and the greens add nitrogen. So the combination of that and water makes the composting happen. I basically just use food scraps in here, and then I throw all my yard waste. I got a pile from last year over here, and then another pile started from this year over here. But you can do a combination of everything in here. If your yard is small, if it's too big, you can just do the excess plant material in a separate pile. Yeah, either way, it'll eventually break down. And if you want to jumpstart your compost pile after you put in some browns and greens, add some compost starter on the green pile or green layer, and maybe it'll compost a little faster. And then after a year or two, a lot of these bins have a little trap door in the bottom, and then you can see here, and you can take out from the bottom what you find in your compost. Composting provides benefits both now and into the future, and that's a good thing for everyone. So happy composting. Your plants will really love you for it.